Country are planning to fling open their doors or simply stay open until 1 minute past midnight tonight, when the new LPs will officially go on sale. Geffen Records, the group's label, says it already has total advance orders for 4 million copies of the albums, an unprecedented figure that's double that of the previous record holder, Michael Jackson's album Bad. Despite Guns N' Roses' commercial potency, however, more than 3,000 record stores will not be stocking their new albums. They belong to the family-oriented Walmart and Kmart chains, both of which have declined to carry the records, apparently, as a Walmart spokesman acknowledged, because of vulgar lyrics.
Fans lined up to buy the rock group's long-awaited second album, a 2-record set, which went on sale at midnight. About 1,000 record stores across the country, including Los Angeles, opened their doors at 12 a.m. to accommodate the rush of fans.
I love Guns N' Roses more than anything in the world.
In Manhattan, rock star Ozzy Osbourne took advantage of the crowds in record stores last night to promote his new album by shaking hands and signing autographs. He wasn't bothered by comments that he was trying to cash in on Guns N' Roses' popularity.
There's enough room for everyone. I don't care. I mean, good luck to Guns N' Roses. They don't need any luck,
Also
in the Doors. And Guns N' Roses were, to me, the most interesting and exciting band around, which isn't to say that I think they're as brilliant as the Doors, simply that I was very interested in them, very affected by them.
A view naturally shared by the band's fans.
I just think they're not like all the other schlock heavy metal bands that are out there. All the ones that are generic and sound all the same.
Slash, that guitar playing. Axl's great and the whole rest of the band's great, but the riffs that he gets out, man, those are sick.
They're not afraid. Moderation isn't important to them, and they're doing everything that we can't do anymore.
Axl is in the tradition of the negative hero, the James Dean, the Byron, the Rimbaud, the outlaw within society. And I think people are really starved for heroes. He's a larger-than-life personality who's on stage. He's not dead like Jimmy and Janis and Jim.
Not dead yet. Heroin is a demon with which both Guns N' Roses and Sugarman have been on a first-name basis. To paraphrase the subtitle of one of your earlier books, will anyone in Guns N' Roses get out of here alive?
I think they want to at this point, which is different from where they were 2 years ago. Axl Rose is not trying to kill himself with drugs and alcohol anymore, nor is Slash, or is he? From what I can tell, watching them and from the sources I know around them.
Danny Sugarman, who watched the self-inflicted demise of Jim Morrison, says Guns N' Roses, at least where drugs are concerned, appears to have curbed its appetite for destruction. Mark Shearer, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
Thank you for joining us this half hour. I'm Lynn
Rock. After years of delay, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, the 2 new albums by Guns N' Roses, went on sale across the country last night at 1 minute past midnight. Geffen Records had already shipped more than 4 million copies of the records to stores, and one shop in Rochester, New York reported selling 1,500 copies in its first half hour of post-midnight business. Here's a look at some scenes from coast to coast just after the clock struck 12.
There's been a lot of anticipation. I can't remember a record that's had this much a buzz about it before it came out. It makes for a lot of excitement around here.
We've been here since 7. And if I didn't have to work, I would have been here earlier.
It's such a long wait. I've just been dying for this album for the longest time, and any chance of having it as soon as possible, I'll take it.
We have no patience to get this album. I mean, it's going to be killer.
It was apparently a wise move on the part of Geffen Records to ship a reported 4 million copies of the Guns albums, because at 12:01 Tuesday morning, the fans were on hand to start buying them.
And there's going to be nobody that's going to go home and play it tomorrow. You're going to go home and play it tonight.
You're going to wake up the people upstairs, that's for sure, man.
There are 30 new songs spread across the 2 Use Your Illusion discs, including 2 versions of the new single, Don't Cry. But Guns frontman Axl Rose insisted that the 2 records not be packaged as one double album, but instead be sold separately.
We were like going, well, a lot of kids and a lot of people, when they go to buy a record, they go to buy one, and they won't be able to, it's like, if there's a choice, well, I'd like to get Guns N' Roses, but it's $29.95, and this other band's told me, oh, I'll get that one. We're like, maybe we can, get past that a little bit.
I think it's a lot better than having a double album, because if a person doesn't have enough money to buy a double album, they can buy one, save up, and buy the other one later.
Disappointed that they're selling it 2 separately. They should they're just doing it to make more money.
it was just like a ripoff, but I'm a fan, so I'll buy it anyway.
Nobody bought just one of these. Every single person bought both of them at the same time.
The frenzy was slightly muted in St. Louis, the site of a riot following a gun show last July in which the band's equipment was destroyed. The Use Your Illusion liner notes contain a two-word insult to the town, which prompted a local radio station to round up as many angry citizens as it could to respond in kind.
They're nasty, you know, they annoy everybody, but that's, you know, that's rock and roll.
There were no such reservations among fans in New York City, where Tower Records started selling the Use Your Illusion CDs at $10.99 apiece, $6 below the suggested list price.
I love Axl so much, I'm shaking.
They're going to be legends. They're going to be like the Doors or Led Zeppelin or the Beatles.
Just like Wheaties, Guns N' Roses, you gotta have it, man.
Jason Whittington, the national sales director for Geffen Records, says that between 12:01 and 2 a.m. last night, fans across the country bought more than 500,000 copies of the Guns N' Roses records, which means it's already gold and heading very rapidly toward platinum. Singer Axl Rose left town for the big release date, but guitarist Slash snuck into the Tower Records store on Sunset Boulevard, where he used to work as a clerk, to observe the sales frenzy through a two-way mirror. Guns N' Roses will be taking their new material back out on the road probably sometime in October, and after a Christmas break and some dates in Japan and Australia, they'll be back in this country for more touring with what's being rumored to be a whole new and very much bigger show.
Of Maryland Heights are blaming Axl Rose for a riot which broke out Tuesday night at the Guns N' Roses show at the Riverport Amphitheater. The fracas resulted in at least 60 injuries to police and fans, 16 arrests, and reportedly over $1 million worth of damage to the brand new amphitheater. It's only the second concert ever to be held there. According to police reports and eyewitness accounts, about an hour into the show, Rose spotted a fan in the front row taking photos of him and got upset. Cameras are not allowed into the amphitheater. Rose reportedly yelled several times for security to stop the fan from taking pictures. When they failed to respond, Rose announced that he would get the guy himself and then jumped into the crowd and allegedly pummeled the fan. Venue security jumped in to pull Rose off the fan. Then Guns N' Roses security jumped in to pull them off Rose. Axl eventually made it back to the stage, announced, "Thanks to your lame-ass security, I'm going home," and left the stage. The rest of the band played on for a few seconds, then left when they realized Axl was gone for good. The house lights stayed down for 10 minutes as the crowd booed, and when the house lights came up, some 2,000 of the 20,000 fans began to rush the stage. Along the way, the fans assaulted security and police officers, destroyed seating, ripped up turf, and then took to the stage, attacking or walking off with Guns N' Roses' gear. Here's what some witnesses at the scene had to say after the riot.
Axl comes out, he's got on a new fur coat or whatever. They start singing. He looks down at the crowd and he's like, take it from me. All of a sudden he goes, if you won't take it, I'll take it from him. Axl jumps into the crowd. Security gets there in a hurry. Axl's throwing blows. He gets up on the stage. Security's all over, and all of a sudden Axl goes, I'm out of here because of piss poor security. He takes off, and the band kind of slowed down like they didn't think it was for real. Then they just took off. We kept waiting for him to come off. We kept waiting for him to come back on stage, and they loaded the bus, and they immediately left. They stormed the stage, tore down the speakers, the screens are down.
Welcome to the jungle, Axl!
I vandalized some property here. I pulled out some plants and I threw it against the wall. I was mixed up in the commotion. I know I shouldn't have done that, but I just let my adrenaline take over.
So far, no one's serious. I don't think we're going to have anybody that's admitted to the hospital tonight, but we're repairing a lot of lacerations and doing a lot of x-rays at this point.
As supervisors that were there took firm control over the officers. We were very cognizant of incidents that have happened around the country with police brutality being an issue. We were concerned that that would not happen here, and it did not happen here.
The Maryland Heights Police Department says that Guns N' Roses snuck out of the venue and hightailed it out of town during the melee. However, Guns N' Roses management says that as soon as Axl and the band got off stage, they were told by police and the concert promoter to leave the venue at once, which they did. GNR management adds, quote, "We saw lots of people in the show with bottles, cans, cameras, even knives. One of our roadies was hit on the head with a bottle trying to save Slash's guitars. You ended up with kids all over the stage, destroying drums and grand pianos and lighting rigs. This is a month-old venue with a new staff. We think security was insufficient for this event." Meanwhile, 3 hours after the riot started, at 2:30 a.m. Wednesday morning, Axl Rose phoned a St. Louis radio station and in an off-air conversation reportedly said the band would have liked to have come back to finish its show, but things got out of hand too quickly. Dan Dirkles of the Riverfront Times, who was there to review the concert, told us that he not only saw police use water hoses and tear gas on the rioting fans, but that he witnessed individual acts of police brutality and that one of his fellow reporters was clubbed with a nightstick after telling police he was with the press. All this, adds Dirkle, because Axl Rose didn't like his picture being taken. With the band's gear trashed or stolen, the July 4th Guns N' Roses show in Chicago was canceled.
Resuming their still albumless U.S. tour tonight with a concert in Dallas. The group says it hopes to reschedule the canceled Chicago and Kansas City shows, probably in early fall. As for the St. Louis riot, in which more than 60 fans and police officers were injured and several $100,000 worth of damage was reportedly done to the venue, local police, while blaming the incident on banned behavior, have not filed any charges against the group. And the venue, a 2-month-old facility called the Riverport Amphitheater, was open for business again this past weekend for a concert by warrant. Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose says he feels he's being made a scapegoat for the riot, which he blames on lax security. I don't think the blame would have come down on the band, he says, had the crowd gone crazy at a Barry Manilow show. And he adds, we have the whole thing on videotape.
Why, that's him. This is a guy that your kids are spending big money to go purchase CDs and music and so forth. Now watch what happens. Somebody's going to take his picture in the audience here in just a second, and he's going to lose it. Now, get that guy and take that. I'll take it. He just dove in after a customer. Somebody had paid $50 to sit there in the front row and listen to that trash. Now he's punching him. And he's got 18,000 security guards around him to see to it he doesn't get hurt. He's beating up his own fan. Now watch this. Well, thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home. We're out of here. Spoiled brat. And leader of the new generation. This is a guy who is one of the leaders of the Bill Clinton generation.
Here for alleged drug incapacitation has turned up in a Los Angeles studio where he's working on a demo tape with a new band he's formed called Road Crew. We paid a visit recently and asked Adler if any hard feelings remain between himself and his old bandmates. Here's what he told us.
The departure of Guns N' Roses hurt me more than I think anything has ever hurt me in my whole 27 years. Those were my friends, my family. They meant everything to me. I miss them more than I'm upset with them for what they did, but I wish the best for them.
Rose's 2 new albums won't be out for another 2 weeks, but today the band released its second single from those LPs, a CD single actually containing 3 different versions of one of its oldest songs, a ballad called Don't Cry. Here's how it sounds.
There'll be a version of Don't Cry on both records, one on the first one and one on the second. And the one on the first one is the newly recorded version of the original lyrics. And then the second one is the newly recorded version of alternative lyrics that are kind of like 91 updates, got different words and melody in the verses, and it just kind of happened while I was recording the other one. We were like, I mean, and that's the song that, you know, basically is why we got, one of the reasons we got signed. And people in L.A. that have been our fans since we've started playing clubs, we're always bummed we never put it on record, but we were kind of trying to save what we considered one of our ace cards because we didn't know if we'd sell 5 records, you know, or what.
Guns N' Roses themselves were busy in Los Angeles over the weekend shooting a video for their new single Don't Cry, an old song that's featured in different versions on each of the albums, atop LA's Transamerica Tower amid a swarm of helicopters. Here's what frontman Axl Rose and a friend had to tell us on the set.
We're filming a video for Don't Cry, and this is just the chorus part of it.
What was with the helicopters?
Live performance and helicopters and helipads and lights, just a blast.
Do you wonder how monumental this project is?
This is my partner Josh Richmond in the making of this video.
Cheers. Do you wonder how monumental this project that you're being allowed to film around is? Do you wonder?
Tell us about it.
it is the most grandiose movie that a band has ever made for a 5-minute visual thing to accompany a song.
Yeah, it's very self-indulgent, extremely self-indulgent.
As Axl would say,
so self-indulgent, I'm going to film 3 versions of myself tonight.
3 versions of himself in one scene, and we're going to have a home video coming out soon for Guns N' Roses. 5 videos for the price of 10.